All right, today I'll be going over VAP test review. Number 1 says, the 6th graders at Sioux Crouch Middle School are going on a field trip to the zoo. Each student can get a reduced price ticket for $8.50. Make a table and a graph that shows the number of tickets and costs. So for my table, my two variables will be number of tickets and cost. And I need a title, trip to the zoo, something like that. So now I can start filling in. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. I recommend at least 8. Number of tickets. One ticket's going to cost me $8.50. 2 tickets is going to cost me $17 even. And then 3 tickets, we do $8.50 times 3, $25.50. And then 8 tickets times 4, $8.50 times 4 is $34. Then $8.50 times 5, $42.50. Then $8.50 times 6, $51. $8.50 times 7. Oh, I guess I could have done $59.50. And then $8.50 times 8 gives me $68. My table's done. Now I need to move to my graph. First by giving it a title, trip to the zoo. Then listing my variables, which is kind of hard on this little tiny thing, so I'll put it over here. The variable down here will be the number of tickets. My independent variable. My dependent variable over here will be the cost. And maybe I'll just use a different color here. Cost. And now I can start filling in the numbers that I do know. My number of tickets I know goes up to 8. So I'll start here with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And my costs goes from 0 all the way up to $68. So let's see if I have room to go by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Yes. So I will do tens. Okay. And now I plot my points. So we start out with 0 tickets is $0. We have 1 ticket at $8.50. So probably be right in here somewhere. 2 tickets is $17. 3 tickets is $25.50. 4 tickets, $34. 5 tickets is $42.50. 6 tickets is $51. 7 tickets is basically $60, $59, $50. 8 is $68. And we call this a consistently increasing line. All right. Write an equation that shows how to determine the ticket cost for the number of students, C. So it already tells you that the number of students is C. Switch colors again. How many tickets did the school buy if their cost is $518.50? Explain how you found your answer. So there's actually 2 questions here. So for the first one, to write my equation, I need to find out the ticket cost for the number of students. Actually, it says it's the ticket cost that's C. So the cost is going to be equal to, well, how much do we pay for each one? $8.50 times N, and you'll need to say that N is the number of students or number of tickets. It's not tickets, it's not students, it's the number that are going. The second part says, how many tickets did the school buy if their total cost is $518.50? Okay, so what you would need to do is take that total price, $518.50, and divide it by the price of each ticket, which is $8.50. And that would give you 61 students. Is that the same for students? How many tickets? 61 tickets. You would need to show on your test that you divided this by 850 to get your 61 tickets. All right, so your explanation again would be, I took the amount of money it cost, I divided it by how much each ticket costs, and that gave me how many tickets that were purchased. 2, write a story that describes this graph. So over here we have money, over here we have time. So if we look at money, we started out with some money, and it looks like the money went down, and then the money went back up. So you would probably say something along the lines of, Sally started, to buy trinkets every day at the store, so she spent a bunch of her money. And then she realized she didn't have a lot of money left, so she decided to start doing chores around the house to save money. And so this would show her saving money and gaining more money. Something like that would work. Below, find a chart with typical baby lion's growth shown by weeks. Describe the pattern relating the week and the amount of growth. So this one doesn't have a real strong pattern. The one on the test will, but we'll go over a couple things I see within here. Let's see. The first thing I would do if I was comparing a table is I would find out how much the growth was from each time. So to go from 7.5 to 9, that's 1.5. 2, 2.1. This is 2.4. This one is 3.5. This one is 5. This one is 4, this one is 3, and this one is 2.5. So even though the table doesn't look like it has any kind of pattern to it, you can see within what I've written in here to compare is if you look at this, the growth is increasing all the way to here, right? The amount of growth per week is getting more and more and more. Whereas if you go from here to here, you can see that the growth is declining. He's still growing. He's just not growing faster each week. His growth is actually slowing down. Number 3, take the following information and put it in a table. Okay, so you have to do this on your own paper. So we start our table. It says, 1 cat eats 5 mice, 2 cats eat 10 mice, and 3 cats eat 15 mice. Okay, so this is going to be your number of cats, number of mice, and you need a title, whatever makes sense. Cats, eating habits. Something like that. It says that 1 cat eats 5 mice, 2 cats eat 10 mice, and 3 cats eat 15. I left space over here on purpose. It says, make a table showing the number of cats and mice going all the way through 10 cats. So we need to extend this, even though it doesn't give it to us. We will extend this out to 10. So if we look at our pattern here, we're getting from this number to this number by multiplying by what? 5. And I multiplied by 5, multiplied by 5, multiplied by 5. And you would just keep doing that until you had all 10 done. You would need to make sure you have both variables and a title for the answer to be completely right. Write an equation showing the number of mice, m. So m is the number of mice, so I'm going to have an m in my equation. And to feed n number of cats. So we're looking for the number of mice. So it's going to be mice equals. So we need to figure out how we're getting from the top to the bottom. The number of cats we've decided is n. What are we doing to n, this number, to get down here? Well, we're multiplying it by 5. So it would be n times 5. But we don't write mathematical problems like this. When you have a number and a letter together, you simply put them number first, letter second. And so your equation would be 5n. M equals 5n. How many mice would be needed to feed 20 cats? So we have here 20 cats. We would have to go all the way out to 20. Or we could just say, well, the way we get from the number of cats to the number of mice is we multiply by 5. So you do 20 cats times 5 mice, and that would give you 100 mice. You need 100 mice to feed 20 cats. D, how many cats would eat 95 mice? Explain how you got your answer. All right, so here's the number of mice. We now know that this number down here is going to be 95. And we're looking for the number that goes up here. How do we get from the bottom to the top? Well, if we multiplied by 5 to go from the top to the bottom, then we need to divide by 5 to go from the bottom to the top. So if I divide 95 divided by 5, we end up with 19. And again, you would need to explain that to get from the bottom column, the number of mice to the number of cats, you divide by 5. So I took 95 and I divided it by 5, and it gave me 19 cats. All right, number 4. Cody and his 2 brothers are going to the movies. It is $5.50 per person to get in, $2.50 for candy, and $3 for soda. A, write 2 equations to find the total cost for all 3 people to go to the movies and get a soda and candy. All right, there are two equations that we're looking for here. So if before we come up with our equation, just think about 2 ways we can come up with the answer that might help us. So if I'm looking for 2 ways to figure out how much it would cost for 3 people to have all of these things, I could either multiply each of these by 3 and then add them up, or I could add them up and then multiply by 3. So let's see if I can figure out a way to do that. So if I did 3 times $5.50, 3 tickets, plus 3 candies, plus 3 sodas. Okay. The other option again would be to add the prices all up, which would give me the cost of 1 person going to the movies, and then multiply the whole thing by 3. 5. Dylan needed to rent a car. He is trying to decide where he can get the best deal. Budget car costs $50 the first 2 days and $25 for each additional day. Avis charges a flat $40 fee per day. Write a function relating the cost C for any number of days D at each place. Okay, so with budget, it already gives us C is the cost, and it gives us that D is the number of days. So with budget, all right, your budget car one should say that budget car costs $50 as a fee to join, and then $25 for each day, and Avis should read just the flat $40 fee. So if we're coming up with equations for each of these, budget, our cost is going to be the $50 fee plus $25 per day. $25 times the number of days is a cost plus the $50 to join. Avis, the cost is just going to be $40 per day. Okay, so there's our functions. How many days would Dylan need to rent a car in order for budget rental to be the best deal? Show your work. Okay, so there's a few ways you could do this. You could come up with your table and keep filling it out until budget became cheaper, or you could do some guess and check to get an idea of where it should be. So let's see. I'm going to go with guess and check, and I'm going to start with 10 days because that's an easy number. So if I chose 10 days, I'd have 50 plus 250 equals 300. And if I did 10 days over here, I have 40 times 10, which is 400. Well, it's already cheaper to go with budget. So that means I need to go down. So let's pick a different number. Let's say 7. That would be 50 plus 25 times 7 is 175, which is 225 for 7 days. And over here for 7 days, it'd be 280. So again, we're still more expensive in Avis, and we're wanting to find out where it turns. So we could go back and check again and change from 7, and let's go with 4. 50 plus 100 equals 150. If I did 4 here, I would get cost equals 40 times 4 is 160. Still cheaper. All right, so let's try 3. 50 plus 25 times 3 is 75, which is 125. And 3 here, the cost would be 120. Oh, look. This was 3. This was 4, 7, 10. So at 4, it was cheaper to go with budget, but at 3, it was cheaper to go with Avis. So the question says, at how many days would Dylan need to rent a car in order for budget rental to be the best deal? Show your work. So at the 4th day, it becomes cheaper to rent for budget. Again, another option would be just to make your table and fill in for, you'd have 3 tables. You'd have 3. You'd have days, you would have budget, and you would have Avis, and you would fill in until you saw the switch from Avis being cheaper to budget being cheaper. C, how many games would Dylan need to rent a car for Avis to be the best deal? This should say days. How many days would Dylan need to rent a car for Avis to be the best deal? Show your work. Again, you can come back to that same table and find out at day 1, budget would have been $50 fee plus the 25. We could start with a 0 to show the $50 fee. At day 1, you'd have $75 versus 40. Day 2, you would have another 25 in here, so you'd have 100, and then this one would be 80. At day 3, you'd add another 25 and add 40. And day 4, you add another 25, and this one add 40, which is 160. Okay. So it's asking, when would Avis be the best deal? Well, every time that Avis is cheaper, it's the better deal. So I would say, if you rented a car for 1, 2, or 3 days, it would be cheaper to go with Avis. How many days can Dylan rent from budget rental if he cannot go over 275? Use number line to represent your answer. Okay, so he has $275 and he wants to rent from budget. So again, you could do some guess and check like we did up here, or you can continue your table out until we got to 275, because these are each going to increase by $25. So there you go. If he has $275, he could rent up to 9 days for budget rental car. All right, if you have any questions, please make sure you see me before the test.